When you introduce yourself to someone new, you usually start off by saying something interesting about yourself and expand more about that. Well, this is similar to how you write an introduction paragraph. Today, we'll be reviewing how to write an introduction paragraph. So why do we need an introduction paragraph? The introduction is the first impression that the reader makes about your essay. Without introduction, the reader will feel confused. This means that they will stop reading the essay. So how do we format the introduction paragraph? Well, we use an acronym called HOT. HOT stands for Hook, Overview, and Thesis Statement. If we were to represent the introduction paragraph as a shape, it would be an upside-down triangle because the introduction paragraph starts from being broad and general with the hook, and it becomes very specific at the end with the thesis statement. Now, let's focus on the first part of the introduction paragraph, which is the hook. The hook will always be the very first sentence in the introduction paragraph, and the purpose of the hook is to get the attention of the reader because you want the reader to be interested in reading your essay. There are different ways you can write a hook. You can use a famous quote or a song lyric. You can use a fun fact or some statistics. You can use an anecdote, which is a personal story about an event that's happened to you, or you can use a rhetorical question. Now let's look at this paragraph and look for the hook. The sentence that's highlighted in yellow, that is the hook. Because remember, the hook will always be the first sentence in the introduction. Let's figure out which technique was used to create the hook. Well, this is an example of some statistics. Because the author used numbers to get real to get real information about the topic. And this topic is about teenagers using cell phones and going online every day. Now let's look at the second part of the introduction. That is the overview. The overview is in between the hook and the thesis statement. You want to explain how your hook connects to the essay topic. And the overview should be 2 or 3 sentences long. Let's look at the same paragraph and figure out where the overview is. The 2 sentences that are highlighted in green, that is part of the overview because they're expanding more about teenagers using cell phones, and it's used as a bridge between the hook and the thesis statement. And the very last part of the introduction is the thesis statement, and this is the most important part of your introduction. But remember, the last sentence of the introduction paragraph is your thesis. So remember, thesis is your last sentence. Think of your thesis statement as a roadmap or a set of directions to guide your reader through your essay. It clearly and specifically tells your reader what they will be reading about. It can be arguable and debatable. There is a format we use for the thesis statement, and it's called TOM. So think of all these celebrities whose names start with the name Tom. TOM stands for topic, opinion, and main reasons. Topic is just talking about what the essay is all about. Your opinion, that is your position or view of the topic. And the main reasons, those are 2 or 3 points to prove and defend your perspective of the prompt. Now let's look at this same paragraph and figure out where the thesis statement is located. The sentence that's highlighted in purple, that is the thesis, because remember, the thesis will always be the very last sentence in your introduction. Now let's break down the thesis using the TOM method to see if it's strong. So for the topic of this thesis statement, it's letting teenagers have cell phones. The author's opinion about this is that they think it is important. And the 2 reasons that they use to defend their opinion, well, the first one is that you can use them for emergencies. And the second reason is to stay updated on important news and current events. And altogether, they all end up becoming a really good thesis statement. Now remember, the introduction paragraph is the first paragraph of the essay that introduces the topic of the essay, and it tells us why the topic is important and explains your reasoning. And recreate the introduction by using HOT. And HOT stands for hook, overview, and thesis statements. And now you have the ability to write your own